Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're heading to the second game of the day for the North American Wildcard event, and we're going to be getting ready to see this match. Now, of course, we just got done with 5 Angry Men up against Thirst. Thirst was unable to find a victory there, and 5 Angry Men gets their first win on the docket. We're going to be heading into a game with Rambozos. Now, Rambozos come out of the Challenger Cup looking to get a big victory here. They're going to be going against our 5th-placed SPL team, Chunks.
Yeah, so Fat Chunks isn't quite the bottom like Thirst was, but they did make their way into wildcards. Fat Chunks, though, have a distinct play style. They play a lot of interesting choices. They play a lot of unconventional picks, and A-Roar, their support, lead the way on that.
He's so good. He's so
really
good. The way he plays is impressive. We're going to get a collie ban out of Chunks here. Rambozos coming into this now. Being a Challenger Cup caster, give us a rundown of Rambozos.
Rambozos is sort of like an SPL team junior. They have a lot of the same play style. You don't expect anything outlandish coming out from Rambozos. You're going to see a lot of similar strategies. You're going to see mid lane sharing experience in the jungle camps that you see from some of the tenured stuff. The players on this team are very good. You want to take a look at specifically Grishank, the jungler. Okay. That's why the 2 jungle bans are coming out. Grishank is arguably the most successful character on that team, and Aduro, previously of Dignitas fame. There's an old joke that I'm not going to touch. You can if you want. But Aduro has been around the professional scene for a while as well. So the entire team has their pluses and minuses, but in this matchup, we're going to look specifically at Grishank in the jungle and Aduro in the mid lane.
Apollo going to be hovered on here and locked in Nemesis as well. Geb first pick from Fat Chunks with the bans coming through. Double Mage for Rambozos and double Assassin for Fat Chunks. Over to Rambozos, knowing that Geb is locked in and the banning phase is coming up. Rambozos will lock in Athena. They've already got Giannis. They've got Freya. The question is, will they be using Freya as a hunter or will it be something more into the jungle? We've even seen solo and mid Freya, but not really that common at this level of play. At this point, we're going to see some bans rolling out from both teams. The question is, does Rambozos want to start banning out that solo? It looks like they do.
Yeah, they want to go for that solo lane a little bit. That Jianghui is just a powerful pick in and of itself, and it looks like they're targeting. Honestly, Cyclone Spin plays a lot of physical.
He does.
It looks like they're targeting that middle lane on Fat Chunks Assemble.
But his Jianghui is so good.
It is.
It's so good.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It is very good. And Ra and Noir are just good characters in general. I'll never disagree with a Ra ban, regardless of who's on the team.
Well, at the same point, right? Herdowin plays a fantastic Ra. Cyclone Spin plays a fantastic Jianghui. So this is very, very much, please don't play the characters you're good at kind of thing. Vamana going to be locked in for Rambozos, most likely going to the solo lane, which has a pretty fantastic matchup against most of the solo lane characters. One of the few warriors in the game that can actually clear an entire wave with a single ability after level 5 or 6 or so. They're going to respond here with an Aphrodite and an Agni. Agni most likely be going to Herdowin. We've seen him play Agni before. A good pick up there, but Aphrodite, always a good pick.
As long as it's not on Samshu. As long as there's not a Hunter Aphrodite.
They already have an Apollo. I think we're safe.
This time around. And that said, we've seen Cyclone Spin play, on a serious note, we've seen Cyclone Spin play Hunters in that solo lane. It's not exactly completely outlandish. We can go all the way back to Game Hunter playing the Apollo solo.
It's very true.
So the Hunter in the solo lane is definitely a thing, but I think we're definitely going to see the Aphrodite in that solo lane and the Agni in the middle lane. More traditional stuff coming out from Fat Chunks. We see this every now and then when Fat Chunks really feel they need to win a game, which I don't think is always the best choice for them. I think that unconventional works out better for them in the long run.
Yes.
But you can tell when they really care and when they're scared almost. In this game, they really want to win.
They are scared, but Mercury being locked in kind of removes that fear a bit. So we'll see. I mean, you got that late game. I mean, they've got Vamana, Freya, Giannis, Mercury. They're saying, hey, in 40 minutes, you're in danger. And so that's what they're lining up here for here. And colloquially, what Fat Chunks has been good at is kind of like surviving the early game. Right. They don't really have the most powerful early game. And it looks like Rambozos is building specifically for that. They've done their homework, and they're building a team that works well against Fat Chunks. As we've seen Fat Chunks go for 30, 40 minutes, and then they look to close out the mid and late, which this team counters a lot of that. Now, they do have Aphrodite and Geb here, going to protect a lot of the damage dealt coming out from Rambozos, as well as the poke. No major healing on the side of Rambozos. We see Aphrodite there, which does work on 1 or 2 targets. So we'll see how they're able to transition this into the match.
Yeah, we will see that as we approach the match. And one of the bigger things that I want to notate here is that Giannis is in the middle lane on Aduro, and Aduro has a similar They're not carbon copies, but think Gnaw more than anyone else. They have a utility mindset. You see a lot of Isis come out from Enduro, a lot of characters like that. So Enduro in this middle lane, I'm not sure we're going to see a full CDR build like you would on Dignitas's Gnaw, but you do expect to see a lot of utility come out from the portals, a lot of stuff like that, more so than just let me kill you with burst damage.
Yeah, right, and that seems to work. I mean, Ra kind of fits that bill at really,
Exactly.
really hard. And one of the reasons why he's so popular because he has that wide variety of abilities to choose from. Now, Isis, again, a very strong character, but this time around, we're going to see a little bit of a change. So Duro going to be running with the Giannis, very strong burst, and there isn't a whole lot of utility on the side of Rambozos. Now, you're going to have the Banish from Freya, you're going to have the slow and attack speed slow, and the knockup from Vamana, Murky with the grab, and then micro stun there with the ultimate. But, you know, it really seems the Rambozos lineup is putting a lot of pressure onto Chris Pocket to get those initiations and control the front line, right? And we're going to see how well he can actually drive this line of scrimmage forward and make sure the team fight is always stable, because if Rambozos has a scattered team fight, every single one of those characters, with the exception of Vamana, is very easily picked off.
Right, Giannis really has to hug the walls and stuff, and this is how Rambozos played traditionally. As we said, if you take a look at them, the comp is very familiar. It just feels like an SPL team. They don't have the practice going up against SPL teams day in, day out that we see from some of the actual SPL teams, but the strategies are similar, their mindset is similar, so Fat Chunks is going to feel familiar going up against them, and I'm curious as we watch this game go on if that will give them an advantage against Rambozos.
Such a late blue coming out from Fat Chunks on the left side of the lane. Might see a Banish coming out. There's the Banish looking for the damage onto Samshu. He does not have his dash. He ended up going for So Beautiful first. Looks like he should be picking up his dash. And as we double check, he did indeed. So playing that safe road, it's always better just to go for the escape route first and then look for the damage and mesmerize control later. Grisha going to come in the mid lane, going to find her a win though.
This is standard Rambozos play. We talked earlier, I lightly referenced how Rambozos has a playbook, and they do these specific plays. This is what we expect every time from this team. 1 minute in, Rambozos goes to their own red, and mid lane is going to share red buff and back speed. We're going to see Grishek make a decision, either his lane, either middle lane or dual lane, and then after that, expect the speed invade with help from Maduro as well. We see this almost every time Rambozos start a game.
Maduro now going to come back to the mid lane here. Herwin and Unique going to go back and do their own damage buff a little bit later, but still will end up about the same amount of gold and experience. Chris Pocket looking for a dash here, going to clear out the wave. Not a whole lot of aggression come out from Rambozos on the left side of the map, but pretty expected considering the fact they're going to find it. But it looks like we're going to see a movement speed steal on the left side as they do rotate over with the damage buff coming down here. Unique and Herwin on their way over.
Yep, this is, as we said, this is the play we expect to see as soon as that Hog 2 comes up. We see it. We see the scissor come out from Rambozos, and now they're going to look for the first blood. Aroar thrown against the wall, and he's going to go down. Grishank gets the first blood onto that Mercury. That is a scary thought. That's a good kill onto Samshu and Aduro, this time spreading the kills around. 2 kills going the way of Rambozos, and that is a way for a Challenger Cup team to start against a pro team.
Challenger, I mean, the Fat Chunks look pretty caught off guard by this.
Yep.
I mean, it may be the case of the North American Pro League where we saw, Cognitive Prime go up against Cognitive Red and really didn't expect anything from them at all. And that disrespect towards their level of skill opens you up to so many losses early game. Like, oh, they won't invade, they won't have a plan, they won't have a strategy, and all of a sudden Rambozos says, hey, we've got 12. We have a ton of plans, we've got a ton of strategies, and you better be ready because we're coming out hot. And I think the hunger that we're seeing from the Challengers Cup teams is really, really hitting these SPL teams hard.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's the standard play coming up from Rambozos. They've practiced for this. They've practiced looking at some of the higher skilled teams, and this is what they want. This is what they want to do. And you take a look at this lineup. It's Dig Aduro, a player that's been he's been on Dignitas, and the rest of this team has flirted with professional play. They want to get back into the SPL driver. They want this win. They want to get this game.
They really, really do, and you're going to see rotation toward the mid lane, but here comes Meerkat already there. Rambozos so quick on their rotations. Portal on the ground, going to find some damage on Unique. He has a shield to keep himself alive. The dash comes out. Looks like the bombs actually went to Fat Chuck, so they still got the mid camp. Damage on Cyclone Spin, but the back off will take him off, and he'll have to go back to the lane.
Left lane returning is Samshu. Paradox wants to take the fight, but as Aroar comes back in the lane on that traditional Geb, which is untraditional for both him and his team, he's going to be chased away and back off just a little bit. So a return to the lane phase for now. In between the first two mid camps, Drybear, we tend to see a little bit of passivity from Rambozos and Fat Chunks because there's not enough really to do. So we'll just see some lane farming and maybe a quasi gank. And right here, Grishank coming down the lane.
Grishank coming through, looking for some damage, gonna find it. Unique will actually get the kill. Grishank losing it on that one. Paradox in a lot of trouble. Nice finish, but only got one of them there. It's hard to get those long distance kills early on. You don't really have a lot of control at this point, and so you're forcing them to kind of rotate around. Aduro in the mid lane gonna clean this out here and look for the push on Heroin. Look at the charts though, 510 gold and 673 experience in favor of Rambozos. Fat Chunks has started this game off in a slow manner.
Yeah, Fat Chunks is, as you said, Drybear, you said that they take it a little slow. They're working for the late game. Their comp is working for the late game. That's what they want to look for. They want to look for just sort of waiting it out. We're just going to see buffs being farmed right now. Unique is going to come over, drop the dual lane blue, and hopefully Samshu can pick up some experience from that. That's important. It's all about sharing that experience, and everybody is picking up a blue buff right now in sync with everybody else on the map.
Oh, it's a tough look. It's a tough look, and honestly, this gain is going to start getting more and more as chunks start to fall behind. Rambozos is looking for the aggression now. Really, what it comes down to when you're playing Smite, it's not over until the objectives are falling, right? Because you're looking at small pieces that can be overtaken very quickly by a Gold Fury, very quickly by a tower. Portal kind of come out from Orduro, just the safe backing mechanism there. The Gold Fury is standing up. The left side damage buff will come up, and one of the benefits of this strategy that Rambozos is running, where they take an early damage buff, is it comes up sooner.
Right.
And so they have a different timing. They have less worries about defending it because it comes up at times that the other team's not used to, and now they can also take it again earlier on in the match.
Yeah, they can. It's all about starting that timer. It's all about keeping stuff going. When you're in lane, you have the luxury of just having minions run up the lane each and every time. In the jungle, you have to create your own timings. You have to create your own situations. So by getting that red buff down, you essentially, if the game goes long enough, you will have more spawns than your opponent.
More spawns, more money, more gold, and more wins. Mid lane damage coming out here looking for Unique and to taunt him through. There goes the portal. There goes the knock away from the portal. Damage on the ground, and it's not going to be enough. And, honestly, it's hard to take down a character like Nemesis. That Retribution shield is very difficult. The double dash not only gives you more distance than a standard dash, but also allows you to go around terrain. Occlusion is not a big deal for Nemesis because she can cut and move very quickly.
Yeah, and she wants to attack some of the tankier targets, so it's just hard to take a look. Right cams go to Rambozos, left cams go to Fat Chunks. That's the second camps of the game. And again, the dash from Agni, just such a safe character. We've seen him fall out of favor a little bit, though, Drybear. Why is it that we just don't see as much Agni as we used to?
Well, I think it really comes down to the fact that they don't have this big boom. Right, it's a lot of piecemeal, and that's kind of the downside of Agni. Also, given the fact that he a lot of times doesn't really have the kind of effectiveness you need. Sometimes the damage is not enough, even if you stack it all up. And sometimes the control of the CC is also hard to predict. Damage in the mid lane, going to find a Duro. He's going to portal out here. Looks like he will survive. The combustion not going to be ticking down on that one, and then we'll be backing off. Damage in the left lane as well, as saw a little bit of an engagement go down. Paradox and Samshu taking some shots between the two of them, but a lot of aggression coming out from Rambozos.
Yeah, this is what they want to look for. We talked a little bit about having a lead and playing it. They have 500 gold right now. That's not a lot. At 7 minutes in, it's more than it might be 17 minutes in, so they notice that. So can they dive towers and go after objectives while everyone's alive? No. But can they pressure the middle lane? Of course. And that's what they're going to look to do. They're going to look for the smaller, aggressive
Mercury on the left side going to find some damage. A Cyclone Spin popped the ultimate a little bit early, but he does have the move. Can he grab? Actually misses the shot. Ultimate coming out from Athena. A lot of missed abilities here. Here comes a Duro. Damage will land on a Unique, and he dashes away. Such an explosive start. Ends in nothing.
That's the beauty of Smite right there. Sometimes you just miss your abilities. Being there isn't enough. You actually have to have the mechanics, and Rambozos usually good in that regard. Grishank specifically alongside of Duro, they just miss. So this time around, they get a great play. They don't capitalize because of some missed abilities, and they're going to go ahead and retreat and find themselves into the left-hand jungle. It happens. I like the choice, but next time they got to get the kill.
Gold Fury going to be standing up here tall. No team really comfortable going for it right now. The gold does not separate by much. We're looking at a number of 400 gold at 8.5 minutes. That is nothing to write home about. Looking at the levels, almost all the levels line up right now. Both Hunters are level 9, both Mids are level 10, both Guardians are level 9. It all seems to be lining up pretty well here, but more experience on the side of Rambozos. And it's kind of like what's helping them so much. They got 1,000 experience in the lead. They're able to get that extra little level, especially when you're getting close to level 11, when you get that second point into your ultimate. It really changed the difference between the cooldown duration the duration of CC, how much damage it does on base, and the scaling really starts to apply once those items get built up.
Exactly. It's all about getting into yourself in the mid game and understanding the differences between the three separate phases. As we exit the early game and approach the mid game, which is usually around 10 minutes or so, depending on the characters that you're playing, that's what you want to look for. Freya's going to become a lot scarier. Before her enemy hunter. What happens is once boots are finished, she'll have enough to really become scary, whereas the hunter on the other side needs to wait until those crit items come online. So she's going to have a window of opportunity where she's a little more potent in lane, and she's got to look to pressure that. So take a look at what the Paradox does in the next 5-minute block.
Gold Fury standing up, gets warded by Rambozos. Right camp taken by Rambozos. Left camp taken by Fat Chunks. Assemble. Look at the player damage right now. You can see the top 3 are actually on Fat Chunks. We're going to see a big gain from Heroin, Cyclone Spin, and Samshrew or Nah in the top 3 for damage dealt. It's very modest right now, but you can see that they're actually getting the harassment they need in, even though they are down 1 kill. Mercury looking for some gold. Now looking at the gold per minute, you're going to see on top will actually be Cyclone Spin in the solo lane, but right behind him is Grishik with 419. The fact that Vomana and Mercury are getting the top 3 gold per minute is not a good look for Fat Chunks.
It's not a good look at all, and Aphrodite belongs in that conversation as well, as you mentioned. Aphrodite is a character that doesn't do anything if not ahead. Sort of like Vomana. Mercury can still do stuff. Aphrodite, just the heals don't wind up being enough if she's far behind. But as she's number 1 in the game overall, not only will she be able to heal, the damage will also be scary.
Right.
And everybody's just going to have to watch out for that character. And Cyclone Spin's going to go on a tear if he's allowed to.
Aphrodite is kind of just a fun killer. She just, no one dies, healing everywhere. There's birds attacking me. Oh, this is just
Look at this
good.
fantastic play I've done. Too bad it was completely immune, and now he has more HP than me. Now he's doing more damage than me.
Man.
You're 100%
well,
right.
I mean, plus you're looking at 2 very strong late game hyper physical carries, and she ended up starting with that breastplate of Valors. That's going to prevent a lot of the damage done. And you're looking, of course, you're playing solo against a physical jungler and a physical solo opponent. Why not build that physical protection early and make it so you can't end up get picked off early? The Gold Fury is going to be warded up by both teams. There's a taunt onto Aurora left side. It's that wonderful, awesome support slap fight that results in nothing. But Paradox is not going to be nothing as they dash forward, looking for some damage. Going to find it there. The Banish used preemptively, but of course he had already backed off from that fight. The Gold Fury kind of looming over both teams' heads.
Unique making his way over here on the left-hand side, trying to not let his presence be known. He is caught up on 2 separate wards, though, as he makes his way. Figures it out as they communicate to him, and he's going to go towards the mid lane. Zero getting aggressed on just a little bit, but Grishank's stopping the pincer move right there. Again, just attention to presence and, more importantly, positioning. Grishank just sort of was the bouncer of that second lane into the jungle, preventing Agni from going around, and that's what let that be a poke instead of a fight.
Let's look at a point we've talked about several times when we're looking at Fat Chunks. And if you bring up the gold per minute right now, you can see at the very bottom is going to be Samshrew or Nah. 322 gold per minute. Now, you contrast that to Freya at 351. Even his support is getting more gold than him. Now, of course, he's forced to rotate a lot, and it's taking a lot of harassment in that lane. But again, having your late game carry be the lowest on the GPM is a tough situation for Chunks. So either they need to open up the maps, that left lane is a little bit more free for him to farm safely, maybe go and gank it. Either that, they need to start taking objectives, because if this continues on, you're going to see a lot of late game carry potential from Rambozos, and when it needs to be Apollo, it's not going to be at this rate.
Exactly, and that's sort of what we talked about before, the power curve of Apollo versus, or the power spike of Apollo versus Freya. Freya comes online with just about 2.5 items, 3 items. Apollo has to wait all the way until that Rage Deathbringer combo and really become a big deal. Middle lane, we're seeing a little bit of a skirmish, not enough to really cause anything big. Mid camps go the way of the Rambozos.
Man, what a big gain here. They're still pressuring the ultimate. And really, the ultimate came out there from Giannis, and it wasn't meant to do damage. It was more like, hey, I see the portals there, and if anyone is standing on the other side, we can easily travel through the wall and get an easy gank opportunity. They weren't really looking for it. They're just, if it happens to present itself, we will go on this. Gold Fury is heavily warded by Rambozos. Not many wards in the map. In fact, only 1 ward on the map right now for Fat Chunks. So the mechanics seem to be pretty strong for Rambozos starting out this match. There hasn't been a big lead just yet. Both teams really vying for that first spot, but until objectives go down, Aduro in trouble, going to go through the portal, and he will survive.
I mean, you mentioned the wards real quick, Driver, and I want to highlight that the wards on the left side of the map are perfect. There are 5 wards. There's enough wards that they're perfect right now. You can take a look. There's one by the Gold Fury and entrance to the left lane, one on the back side, and 2 of them that are mirroring that on the mid lane. So everybody on the left side of the map is completely safe at the moment. You take a look, Chris Pocket has placed 6. He's leading by a long shot.
Oh, yeah, a lot, especially coming out from the solo lane and mid lane from Rambozos. Gold Fury is going to be aggressed on Unleashed out here. Herwin's going to dash on through. We do see that slap fight in the right lane. Cyclone Spin getting the better end of it. But, you know, back over the left side, you can see the Giannis ultimate used defensively there. That was back to the base. He was really feeling the pressure. Still at full HP, though. Herwin back into the mid lane. Comparing the roles here, you can see 300 gold separation in the solo lane in favor of Fat Chunks. The gold between the Hunters, 400 gold in favor of Rambozos there between the two Hunters. Between the Junglers, though, you're going to see about 500 gold in favor of Rambozos between Mercury and Nemesis. And we're going to see the mid lane, we're going to see 200 gold in favor of Rambozos. So almost every single role is in favor of Rambozos, whether it be by 200 to 500 difference. Now, when you start to add that up, it's not looking good for Chunks for that early first Gold Fury.
That said, the teams are close. 700 gold separate the two teams. So while the characters are separated individually, the team holistically not so much. And at the end of the day, that's really what you want to look for. This has been a slow-paced game, Dry Bear. Almost just shy of 15 minutes in. 2 kills going the way of Rambozos. Just 1 on the side of the blue team, Fat Chunk. So not a lot of aggression here. Rambozos are playing this very carefully, as are Fat Chunks.
Or we're going to taunt it out there. Portal. Let's see if Vortex going to miss as he dashes away immediately. One of the biggest difficulties when you're facing up against an Agni is that you have to lock him down indefinitely because he's going to have that dash immediately once he's able to use his character's abilities, and it's tough to swing that. Now look at Aphrodite just finishing that Book of Thoth. 5 stacks up on that. That's actually going to be the first stacking item we're going to see between the two solo laners as Vomana has already finished that Stone of Gaia, rotating over. I think the thing that's really curious for Rambozos right now is that Fat Chunk is thinking, okay, we're fine. You know, Vomana's not doing that whole lot of damage. It's okay, but when you look at the gold per minute and XP per minute, Vomana is skyrocketing ahead, and he hasn't put up any damage items yet. So once he does, whether it be Fatalis, whether it be Rage, whether it be Heartseeker, or even possibly, you know, something along the lines of like a Chin Size, it's going to start to hurt. Yeah,
Vomana, once he makes that decision to get a little bit more aggressive, everybody's going to have to watch out. That said, Aphrodite's also up there, but Mercury is who I have my eye on, Dry Bear. Vomana will be able to set the pace, but Mercury is going to be able to just shred through these people when he chooses to. It's just a matter of choice. As we said, Rambozos are playing it very careful because they're going up against an SPL team, and Fat Chunks are playing it very careful because they're going up against #1 seed overall in the Challengers Cup. So both of these teams are a little afraid.
Well, and fearful for good reason, because this map has chickenpox right now. There are so many red wards in the map. There's 3 on the right side, 4, 5 on the left side, just now countering the Gold Fury. The Gold Fury, while we were talking there, ended up falling down and will be in favor of the Rambozos securing that one. So a lot of gold now in their favor, skyrocketing ahead. You look at the gold charts, 2,100 immediately. That is a plateau if I've ever seen one. And now Rambozos has an opportunity to coalesce this lead into something bigger.
Yeah, first lead of the game going the way of the red team. 2,000 gold going in that direction, and that's huge. That's the first lead. We were talking about 2 of their characters having a lot of GPM already. Mercury and Vomana, who are scary with that gold, and they're going to go ahead and take that boost in gold from the Fury, and now, this is the power spike. This is where the team as a whole just feels more powerful than the enemy. They need to look for engagement right now. They can't be silly. They have to play the lead correctly instead of letting the lead play them. But if they find the right opportunity...
Oh, Mercury right side going to find some damage here on Cyclone Spin. He's got no ultimate available. There goes the knock. There goes the kick. Vomana kicking him out of the Mercury grab, but the punching is too strong. And with the mighty fist, Grishank will take down Cyclone Spin. And the huge downside of this, Cyclone Spin is the highest farm and experience on their team. He is their breadwinner right now.
And that's what I would... That's the beginning of what I'm talking about right there. Yeah. They isolate. They find the smart play. They don't just take somebody. They took somebody on their own tower. They went after him, and they got him, and they're going to take his tower for that as well. Vomana and Mercury have no problem shredding through this little lane tower completely. Unique is going to make his way over here. Great ultimate to contend with the Vomana. Protections don't really mean much to her as a percent damage dealer and a protection shredder, so that's going to be a good one, and here comes the rest of Rambozos.
Aurora jumping on top, looking for some damage on Chris Pocket. He's going to back away and block it, but Unique will fall. The major damage coming out from Meerkat, not done yet. Looking for a war, Creeping Curse coming out on top of that one. There goes the slow from Maduro. Great Threshold placement. This ability is so underrated. Threshold can stop an entire aggression in its tracks, just the ability to slow people so quickly. Not only that, but he's able to kind of react to it with his major burst damage with Unstable Vortex or even his ultimate. We see Grishank now on timer here, coming into the mid camp. He's going to just take those down immediately. Portal coming out from Aduro, going to do some damage on Herwin. He dashes forward here. There's a lot of people in range. There goes Aduro coming through him. Now damage on Aurora, going to find him. Herwin will take down Aduro in the meantime, and now Aurora going to back away from the fight. Chris Pocket, Shockwave coming through, Bomb coming out. Herwin first wave, Banish coming out. He's dropping low. There goes a hit from Paradox. Up in the air he goes, but the heal from Afterite is too much.
And Freya's going to land right now. Now the target is her. She's got the damage reduction coming out from Athena, enough to shred the aggressors. And Samshu's going to pick up a kill. Gets it with the So Beautiful. Chris Pocket still under tower, escaping while Aurora's tanking. Has a shield on himself, but here comes Meerkat. Up in the air is him. Another shot, and Aurora's not going to be able to roll out there. And Grishank trying to get away. Gets killed by Cyclone Spin with that back off, and still Meerkat aggressing. This Vamana never stops.
When in doubt, he just out, and Herwin survives the onslaught from Meerkat, and that's really what he wasn't expecting. And I think he realized that, you know, without Clear the Path up and my ultimate down, I don't have any chance of getting out of this fight. Let me look for the kill. But the Aphrodite healing is something that Rambozos did not factor into this fight. Cyclone Spin at the top. I mean, you look at the XP per minute right now, you're going to see 675. Second place will go to Cyclone Spin, hopping over to gold per minute as well, 433. I mean, Cyclone Spin has been topping the charts the entire game, and for that reason, he is now able to do damage while simultaneously able to heal his team.
4 players died on the side of that Rambozos aggression right there. That allowed Fat Chunks to go ahead and take that tower, shredding some of the lead, bringing it down to about 1,500. Just playing this correctly, choosing the right fights are the guys on the blue side of things. So that was a rough play going the way of Rambozos. Despite it looked good, Dry Bear. It actually looked good, but when you take a look at the numbers and you take a look at who died, and you take a look at the graph, it just didn't work out.
It didn't. I mean, it's going to dip right back up to Fat Chunks. And, you know, Fat Chunks, and like I was mentioning in the picking stage, that Chunks never really looks for the early win.
Right.
They're never aggressive. They're never like, I got to fight, I got to gank, I got to steal, I got to go. They never do. They're always like, okay, we're going to play Smite. We're going to have a good time. Okay, we're ahead. Let's go for something. And now we're going to see Chunks start to pick up that momentum. So Rambozos, with their strategies, with their picks, and with their momentum, have to try and keep that going through the mid and late game because Chunks is getting stronger by the minute. But one thing we did mention in the picking stage, F. Rambozos has that late game carry potential.
That they do. Freya is just going to get scarier. She's sort of like Kali in that respect, where there is no fall off period. There is no Thanatos effect, if you will. You just keep getting stronger. Vamana just keeps getting stronger. Mercury just keeps getting stronger. Giannis becomes more utility. The burst damage is still there, but you're going to look at the last 3 characters I just mentioned, and Athena's just there to set everything up. And Chris Pocket does have the mechanics in order to do so. So the later this game goes for Fat Chunks, you take a look at them. You know, Agni is a mage, so naturally he'll do well, and Nemesis does well as well. But the 3 characters, Mercury, Vamana, Freya, are very scary, and Fat Chunks has to tread lightly if they want to be able to do this.
Well, they're treading lightly for now, but I think they're looking for an early kill. And you look at the damage right now, player damage at the very, very, very bottom is going to be a Duro. And this is probably a big issue for Rambozos, is the fact that their AoE mage is not doing the numbers. Right side Cyclone Spin by himself, looking for the heal, going to find the back of the slow. There goes the ultimate, there goes the Heavenly Agility. Mercury ultimate going to miss on that one. Does he have a grab available? The bomb comes down, the help comes in from Sandshu. Here comes Fat Chunks online. Meerkat looking for the kill, going to find it. Paradox is there with the ultimate as well, forcing back to the tower. Unique is going deep, and he may not have a chance to get out.
Coming around the side is Unique, and he gets banished. A lot of damage. Banished into the portal is going to be a funny interaction, but just enough spacing is going to allow him to get out. Meerkat finds his way on the back line, gets the ultimate on him from Unique. Unique wants to turn around now. Meerkat very low, not able to do much of anything aggressive, so he's just going to play it defensive and walk out while Aduro pokes with his Unstable Vortex. So all in all, a good retreat coming out from Rambozos. They do trade 2 for 1, so the fight doesn't go in their direction, but they get out before any more bleeding starts and still leading the game by 1,600 gold.
This seems to be a good look so far. Now, they're able to kind of get that nice push. You can see that both teams are very, very weakened right now. Looking at the gold numbers, they're going to start to move towards Fat Chunks. In fact, they will have a lead here if they take this down. I like and respect the call from Rambozos trying to go for the Fire Giant, but Herwin's even smarter. He knows this is an opportunity for them. He's going to come in and drop some bombs. You're going to find some damage on a Duro. Flame Wave comes out, gets the kill. This is a tough look for Rambozos. The Fire Giant's dropping lower and lower. They have the Hog. It's too early! Chris Pocket misses the Hog! The damage coming down. Herwin looking for Meerkat. Gonna find the kill. Meerkat takes him down, but at what cost, F. Dot.
Unique picks up the kill onto that Vamana, and now Grishank's running away. He does not have the Fire Giant. We mentioned the early hog coming out from the support on Rambozos is going to essentially give Fat Chunks that Fire Giant. They lose 3 members. They lose the Fire Giant. Fat Chunks in a complete unexpected swing, now leading the game 1,200 gold, 10 kills to 7, 23 minutes in. Fat Chunks takes a fantastic kill. They take a fantastic objective, and they have the entire middle lane at their front door. They're looking for the Firebird here, Drybear. It's up to Rambozos to defend this. They kind of have to.
Whirlwind, what a play that was, and what a big missed opportunity for Rambozos. And you know, it's really hard to stay positive after that. When you're at this level of play, you expect that your support can successfully handle the gods of Fire Giant, especially in that situation. There was no other hog around. It was just Whirlwind. They could have executed it 20%, 15%, 10%, 1%, and still secured it. He was too eager, jumped the gun, missed the opportunity, and it gave Fat Chunks a Phoenix and the Fire Giant buff that's so hard to see.
You know, watching, I had the opportunity. I casted the Challenger Cup. Having the opportunity to watch Chris Pocket, it's very out of character. I've seen him walk up to a level 1 Gold Fury attempt and steal it by just walking and getting it. He has that in his wheelhouse. I guess the nerves are getting to him, or maybe it's something else, but that just didn't happen right there, and that could be the turning point of this game. The lead is that bigger than it ever was for Rambozos away Fat Chunks, approaching the 4,000 gold mark, is the biggest lead of the entire game, and it's on the team that's been trailing for 20 minutes.
Well, the Gold Fury, and this is a big downside for Rambozos as well. They went over to the Gold Fury to do it, but they didn't even expect it to be down. They were like, oh, let's take the Gold Fury. Oh, wait, they were doing that? And honestly, when you're looking at this, right, you expect that they were doing something while Whirlwind was by himself at the Fire Giant.
Right.
So a big loss for them. Now Fire Minions will be going down the mid lane here, and it seems like Rambozos is really feeling the heat of that as the whole map is now opened up for Fat Chunks. Fat Chunks now in the lead by 3,600 gold. They're finishing off their items, but looking at itemization here, you can see that Vomana Meerkat looking for the chin size and looks like into Fatalis afterwards. He does have Sprint and Weakening Curse, which is going to help with the heals from Aphrodite. Aphrodite dropping 3,600 healing so far, which not really all that much. So the success has not been on the back of heals from Aphrodite. It's really just good play.
Yeah, just great play coming out, and you take a look at that Agni, who's now topping the player damage 14,000. That's if we're ignoring the Aphrodite damage, which we really shouldn't, he's leading by 4,000 player damage, which is 2 life bars essentially.
Yeah.
Most characters have about 2,000. That's absolutely incredible. And Fat Chunks right now have turned on their don't care faces. They're sieging down this left lane.
Now look at the taunt. There goes the ultimate. Paradox in trouble. Mercury ultimate going to come through here. F-taunt. Paradox up in the air looking for damage, but how much can they really get out here? Grishank looking for the follow-up. Can't find anything. Now up in the air goes Agent Apollo. The airstrike is coming down from above, and the damage is enough. Paradox dropping low, but gets out just barely. Grishank dashing away the purification beads, and that will be enough for them to disengage, but they're going to lose their tower and also their solo laner in the process.
Yeah, I mean, I love that play from Fat Chunks. They go ahead of the tower, they zone, they space, they fight so that they get it for free. They don't want to fight against 6. They want to fight against 5. Here we have another engagement, gets the Blink Cataclysm, and Grishank just down, Cyclone Spin to the hand of that one. Chris Pocket looking for something, but he's going to look for his death, and he's going to try and get out as Fat Chunks just focused to fire the Phoenix.
Sam Shrew backing away, taking some damage, but healed up by Aphrodite. Paradox will go down to the flames of Whirlwind, and now Aduro is defending this the best he can. Chris Pocket will be dropping out, but the question is it enough?
Sam Shrew Arnaud got so low in that engagement, but Cyclone Spin, Drybear. Cyclone Spin healed him up completely. If it wasn't for this Aphrodite, that would have been a death, and now you're looking at a full HP Apollo. That's the power
Aphrodite.
of the solo Aphrodite.
Aphrodite, and you look at Cyclone Spin, he's still dropping 16.2k himself. He's the second in damage dealt this entire game. He's got about 8,600 healing. In fact, he dropped 5,000 healing in that last team fight. Incredible.
Good taunt coming out from Chris Pocket, and that's going to deal damage on the Cyclone Spin, but it's not enough. The birds will just heal it up. Nobody even notices that it actually happened. Tower about to fall, and it does. That's going to leave Rambozos with 0 towers on the map. A single Firebird remains for the team in red, and Fat Chunks knows that the Fire Giant is going to spawn rather soon. Going to opt to back instead of wait. They'll back, they'll heal, they'll purchase, they'll come up, and they're going to take the fight head on.
Here's the thing, F-Dot. when the timers were introduced in the game, teams got lazy.
Yes.
They didn't keep track of timers. They didn't write it down. And right there, if you were a team that was unprepared to think, oh, Fire Giant's coming up soon, we gotta stay, we can't go back home. But when you look at the timer, they had 25 seconds before it came back up. And because Chunks was writing down those numbers and paying attention to the respawn times, they knew they had time. Whereas most teams, when they're getting lazy, like, I don't know how much time. And you can't have that. And because of that, full HP, back to the base, back in the fight.
Exactly. They missed the Fire Giant by about, I think, 7 seconds it took them to line up. They knew that was going to be fine. They knew they can take this fight head on with an 8,400 gold lead. We talked about playing the lead, and now they're going to fight the Fire Giant. No, they're going to fight the team in red, Rambozos. Looking at the backline, Meerkat, first death.
Ultimate coming out from Giannis, getting a hit too, but the heals from Cyclone Spin will keep it alive. Meerkat gone means they don't have their AoE damage. They also don't have their front line. I mean, it's all on Chris Pocket to keep this fight alive because Freya, Giannis, Mercury, the bombs come down! Heroin taking out Grishank from over the wall, and that is so hard to see. All of their physical damage is gone.
That's going to be it. Chris Pocket has the hog. He can make the save, but completely retreating is Rambozos. Hog went back. They wanted to protect the Phoenix more than they wanted to do anything else, and that's what they're going to do. They relinquish the Fire Giant. Sometimes, and I actually really like this retreat, Tribear, you have to know that you can't take that fight. You have to know that, look, they're going to get the Fire Giant. Yes, I can steal it. I might die. If I just let them go, I can taunt for my team, I can set them up, and I can make everything happen at this fight at the Phoenix, because this is what all the chips are about. And here he is. Let's see what he does on this right-hand side Phoenix.
Roar coming over here. There's the blink. There goes a shockwave. Purification Beast popped already. You're going to avoid it, but the bombs from Whirlwind are doing so much damage. There is the Cataclysm. Cyclone Spin already took out Chris Pocket, and that is their front line. Meerkat coming out, but he is all alone in the darkness. The damage from Shamshrew takes him out here, and Paradox is looking for something, but he's backed off. There's the burst. There's the damage. Cyclone Spin with a double kill rampage so far, and Grishank has nothing to offer. The bombs from Whirlwind are raining down. They can't deal with what's coming their way. Unique with a double kill deicide, and that will be the game after it's all said and done. Fat Chunks looked so weak in the beginning, but their veteran experience came through on that one, and Fat Chunks comes out victorious.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there. Veteran experience, Roy Drybear. You're talking exactly about their timings. You mentioned it in the game. You're talking about their attention to who to kill. They targeted the right people. They looked at Grishank almost every single time. And let's just take a look at the numbers real quick. Looking at the scoreboard, you see Fat Chunks and the numbers on player damage. 21,000 damage going the way of not just Whirlwind, but Shamshrew, a player that we don't talk about a lot.
Yeah, Shamshrew, and here's the thing, right? He started that game way behind. He was the lowest in gold, the lowest in level, and he looked like he was out of the game, but he came back, and with the healing coming out from Cyclone Spin, he was almost eternal. I mean, he was difficult to take down, dropping those numbers on top, and he's been bringing it up, and we're going to see 21,000 damage. But I want to bring it back to the point in that game, F-Dot, where we saw Chris Pocket missed that hand of the gods. Let's go back in time and see what Whirlwind was able to do with this.
Yeah, so we're going to see Whirlwind because he's really the one that's taking the head nail by the horns, and he gets one kill. He gets a great stun, and it's right here where the Hog is just going to miss. Good damage coming out from the Agni. Fire Giant comes down, and that's going to give him a belt on top of that swag coat right there for that Swagni skin. So fantastic play coming out from the Fat Chunks, and they're the ones that earn the victory.
That was a big win there, and turning back around, right? In the first round, we saw a Challenger Cup team win. The second round, we see a SPL team win. Fat Chunks ahead, and with the next match, you got to get excited because there's going to be a momentum build up. Not only is this the beginning, but it's also the beginning of morale changes, mental state changes. You're like, oh, I have to play them again. It's all rapid fire. We have 4 more matchups to go for the rest of the day, and honestly, it's going to get even more incredible to watch. We're going to cut to a brief break and come right back with the next matchup of the day. The Wildcard tournament for North America is going strong, so stick around. We'll see you soon.